Hello and welcome to the vlog. Mooring here in Handsacre was absolutely fine, a peaceful night's sleep. Today I want to get as far as Great Haywood, which should be a fairly straightforward cruise, touch wood. The only tricky bit is that just after Handsacre there's a really narrow section, only wide enough literally for one boat to go through, and the trouble with that is you can't see as you approach it whether there's a boat coming from the other direction. The advice is you send off a crew member to wander down the towpath and have a look. But I don't have a crew member. So I'm either going to wait for another boat to come along and just follow them and hope for the best, or toot my horn and hope for the best. I'll see how I feel when I get there.
It was a pleasant day for cruising, so after throwing off all the spiders who'd set up home on the back deck overnight, I was off. Although there's enough space for two boats to pass under this bridge, the approaching one decided to hold back. I couldn't quite see why to start with, but it turns out the canal narrows a bit on the other side and he was waiting for me to come through. I think actually we could have squeezed past each other here, but it would have been a bit tight. This, though, is not the narrow bit I referred to earlier. Oh no. To the left here is the Armitage Shanks building, now owned by Ideal Standard, makers of baths, toilets and sinks. There's a 90-degree left turn beyond that bridge, and it's all a bit narrow, hence using the horn. But if you think this is the narrow bit I talked about earlier, think again. It's not entirely uncommon, but I do get a kick out of the canal being above the roads and houses off to the side here. It's just ahead that you come to the properly tight bit, that tunnel ahead, which is not really a tunnel, but just the remains of one. It was removed, but is now built over with roads. Yeah, you'll see when I go through. You can't see from the canal if there's anything coming the other way, but there are bollards on the towpath to tie to while you run ahead to check, or send someone else to have a look.
Well, a good thing I did stop to check. There's another boat just waiting at the other side, so they're going to come through, and then I will go past them and check that they haven't got anyone else coming on behind after them.
As I waited, another boat turned up behind with full crew aboard, and they sent people along the towpath to confirm the way was clear. You can see that other boat has now emerged, and they said there was no one behind them, so as soon as I could, I engaged warp drive and was off. It looks just like a concrete bridge, but peer over the side and the rocky remains of what was Armitage Tunnel are clearly there. Backing up if another boat came along would be awkward to say the least, but by this point they would see you coming and wait. Out and clear and round a long gentle curve past loads of moorings. Ducklings in September? There's another 90-degree turn under a bridge at the end. Again, the lovely folk off the boat behind helped out as they waved me to stop until an approaching boat had come through. Then the way was clear for me to go on round. Give the boat a bit of revs and a hard tiller and it does turn remarkably well. No need for the cheat button of bow thrusters or trolling motors. Here's the start of Rugeley. What a grand view they have. I always appreciate a narrowboat with a face. Lots of interest shown in the canal, evidenced by the back gardens. an absolute swarm of little birds on the towpath. This is where the official visitor moorings start, which are always incredibly popular, probably because there's 2 large supermarkets right on either side of the canal, as well as other facilities in easy striking range. That's a good offer. It was jam-packed that day. Here's the complete run along those moorings, with nary a space to be seen. And loads on the other side of town too. This is not entirely helpful. Rugeley is very long, and I've skipped loads of it, but you know you're on the other side when you get to this sharp turn onto an aqueduct over the River Trent. I recall mooring on the other side of this a few years ago. This time my journey continued out into the countryside. I was hoping to get to between Little and Great Haywood, but the weather was getting chilly. Boat in a field, as you do. And at the other side, it's quite pretty round here, and there are some enormous and very grand houses, which I entirely failed to get any footage of. Here's a good mooring spot, so I did what I always do, and wonder if there'd be a better mooring place just a little further on. I drive myself mad like this, always looking for something even better, and then panicking. That's the Trent. As it turned out, I did find another place just a little further on, opposite a field of sheep, so I stopped.
Hunger has got the better of me. I'm practically fading away here. I fed the swans and now I will feed myself, and I think that'll do it for today.
That's my view. Very calm, but there was drama to come in the morning.
I'd have set off this morning about 45 minutes ago, but just as I was getting ready to do so, I heard this almighty bleating from nearly outside my window, and it turned out one of the sheep in the field opposite had fallen in the canal and of course couldn't get back out again, was swimming up and down the length of the canal, bleating and bleating, and I didn't really know what to do because on my own I'm not really able to do a lot. However, I phoned the farmer, well indirectly, I phoned a couple of local houses and businesses here who said they would phone the farmer. And I'm pleased to say another boat, well a couple of boats came along. One of them managed to moor up on the other side, and while his wife held onto his boat, he leaned down and grabbed the poor old sheep out and back onto the field. At that point the farmer, or his representative, turned up and has taken the poor old sheep away. So it's sort of a good ending, but all a little bit dramatic this morning. However, now I can fire up the engine and get underway.
I had been largely lucky with the early September weather. Yes, a few clouds here and there, but lots of sunny spells too, and this was making for a most enjoyable cruise. Here's Colwich Lock, with a rise of 6 feet 6 inches. Just beyond, these charming cottages. It's very rural round here. The pair of Haywood villages are out of sight on the right of the canal. And there's a long stretch of good moorings as you go past the Shugborough estate, which dates from 1693. Bridge 72A was apparently built because the next canal bridge was too narrow for horse and cart to cross, and the family who lived at the estate wouldn't dream of walking to church, so they built this one. Haywood Lock takes the boat up a further 4 feet 2 inches. Cute boat. Here is Great Haywood Junction, where the Trent Mersey carries straight on, but there's a left turn under the bridge onto the Staffs and Worcester Canal. I've never been down that bit, though I have done the other end of the Staffs and Worcester. Those boats belong to a hire boat place. Slowly past this very long stretch of private mooring leading up to a marina. Perhaps a few watts coming from that turbine, built onto the mooring itself, you notice. Then it's time to lock up again, just behind those trees. These overflow bywashes can push you sideways while you try to line up for the lock, but in this case no problem. This one's a bit deeper, at 7 feet 9 inches. You get the gist that health and safety wasn't a prime concern when these were built 200 years ago. What? No railings? But these little bridges make life a lot easier for getting from side to side when opening and closing the gates. No need to jump or go round the long way to the other end of the lock. Mind you, the plank for crossing at the other end is at such a wonky angle I wouldn't want to use that anyway. Bit of damp on that and you could easily slip in. What happened to that sunshine I was revelling in? I was hoping to get to the village of Weston by the end of play, as that would put me in easy striking distance of the town of Stone, where I would pick up my passenger. Here I was only just over a mile away. Aha! Houses on the horizon meant I was almost there. Out the other side of the village, and it was time to stop. That's it for now. Cheerio.